McNeil on stage. Get your tickets at am950radio.com.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, in the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, and in the nighttime hours in Seattle. Hello, Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. It is the Matt McNeil Show on your Tuesday. Matt and Patrick here today. Patrick, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you recovering?
I am. The best part of St. Pat, I don't drink. So the best part of St. Patrick's Day for me is corned beef and cabbage and potatoes, which means I have the best freaking breakfast the next day, which is fresh corned beef hash. Mwah, it is magnificent. Are you a fan of that?
Oh, that is, if you want me to do evil, that is one of the ways you will get me to do evil.
It's good to know. I'm going to put that down as a note. Evil Patrick bought off with corned beef hash. Okay. Oh, my plot's coming into fruition. All right. Okay. So for the folks in Chicago and Seattle, generally, I don't focus too much on the Twin Cities and Minnesota politics during this hour. I usually do that in my second hour where it's pretty Minnesota heavy. But sometimes I get a story that, I really kind of have to bring out for you so you can appreciate this. Because trust me, by the time I get to the end of this, you're going to be like, oh, now I get why you brought this up. Yesterday in my local hour here in the Twin Cities, I brought up a new bill brought up by 5 Minnesota state Republican senators who are basically these drooling imbeciles who are trying to appeal to the dumbest Twitter followers that they have. I mean, it's let's call it what it is. All right. And so because they're terrified of trying to confront Trump and don't want to acknowledge all the bad things Trump's doing to their districts, these 5 guys put up a bill which said that Trump derangement syndrome, which basically is any criticism of Donald Trump, should be an official mental illness recognized under Minnesota state statute. So once again, owning the libs, woo, that sort of thing. Yeah, they're all a clown car. Every one of them. They're all just, they're best buddies. These 5 guys, tight friends with each other, have sat down together, hand in hand, proverbially, maybe not, I don't know. Sat down hand in hand and wrote this bill, which would have said it's illegal, or excuse me, not illegal. If you criticize Donald Trump in Minnesota, that you are going to be able to be declared having a mental illness if you just criticize him. Who are these 5 guys, you might add? Who are the 5 best buddies in the planet that hung together and wrote this bill? Now, let's run through the names, shall we? There's a guy named Eric Lucero who dresses like he's colorblind. There's Steve the Drazkowski. He's the guy that basically said he's never seen a hungry person in Minnesota, even though there are thousands of people that get food assistance in his own district. Yeah, that's right. Jerk. And he says he's a Christian too. There's Nathan Wiesenberg. It's the guy has one of those Duck Dynasty beers. So I call him ZZ Flop. There's Glenn Grunhagen. Have to do that by, the human catcher's mitt. The dude's face is huge. And then who was that last best buddy in there? Tight-knit group of best friends who put together this piece of legislation. It was a guy named out of Grand Rapids, Minnesota, Justin Eichhorn. Hey, by the way, yesterday he was pushing that bill. He happened to show up in the news cycle today, about 2 hours ago. State Senator Justin Eichhorn, best buddies with those 4 guys, was arrested in Bloomington, Minnesota on suspicion of soliciting a minor for sex. Yeah. Bloomington police led Eichhorn, 40, to believe he was talking to a 16-year-old girl and then met the senator and arrested him Monday in the 8300 block of Normandale Avenue, according to the Bloomington Police Department press release. Senate Republicans are now calling for Eichhorn's resignation. We are shocked by these reports, and this allegation conduct demands an immediate resignation. Justin has a difficult road ahead, and he needs to focus on his family. Well, Senate Republicans said in a statement on Tuesday afternoon. I'll get, by the way, coming up in the next hour, I'll talk a little bit about where this concern about him is coming from. And trust me when I say this, the Minnesota State Senate Republicans do not care particularly about the 16-year-old. It's just they had some talking points for a Democratic senator, which have now kind of been imploded. And needless to say, that's what they're really upset about. Police say they saw Eichhorn arriving in the area by pickup truck and arrested him without incident outside of his vehicle. Eichhorn was booked into the Bloomington Police Department jail, where he's transported to the Hennepin County Adult Detention Center. The release said, "Thank God they didn't take him to the child detention center." Felony charges for soliciting a minor to practice prostitution are pending, Bloomington police said. As a 40-year-old man, if you come looking to have sex with someone's child, you can expect that we're going to lock you up, said Bloomington Police Chief Booker Hodges in a news release. We have always advocated stiffer penalties for these type of offenses. We need our state legislature to take this case of this type of contact more seriously. Senate Minority Leader, the Republican Mark Johnson, said in a statement that he had just learned about Eichhorn's arrest and will comment later. The Majority Leader is Aaron Murphy, the DFLer from St. Paul. DFL, by the way, in Minnesota is the Democratic Farm Labor Party. That's why we call it. It's the Democrats. She said in a statement that the allegation against Eichhorn is deeply disturbing. A felony allegation against Eichhorn is deeply disturbing, raises serious questions that it will need to be answered by the court, as well as his caucus and his constituents. Eichhorn's arrest complicates efforts by Senate Republicans to expel another senator, Nicole Mitchell, from the upper chamber following her arrest last year. She was alleged to have burglarized her stepmother's home in an attempt to get some heirloom she said her father left for her. Although some Democrats, including Walz and Mitchell's colleagues, including myself, have called for Mitchell to resign, there's not been an ethics case been loaded there against her at this point. Republicans have said she's brought dishonor to the institution, should be immediately expelled before a criminal trial. By the way, have I got yeah, exactly. Have I got some some disturbing behavior for the Republicans to look into? During the debate about a motion to expel Mitchell, Senator Jordan Rasmussen of Fergus Falls said doing so would restore integrity to the Senate. Not so much, apparently. The argument, we don't need the results of a criminal trial to know Senator Mitchell's conduct fails to meet the standards of ethical behavior that we expect from our senators, said Rasmussen. But that was in January. I'm presuming now that he means that as well. In February, Eichhorn reposted an article on a Facebook about attempts to expel Mitchell, saying that the growing scandal keeps pulling focus from the legislature's important work. We need to end the disruption and let voters choose a new senator. Okay. In 2021, he objected to a bill requiring Minnesota schools to teach about sexual orientations and gender identity, saying, before you know it, they'll be reading kids 50 Shades of Grey. This discussion is better had at a more mature age. Little did we know back in 2021, that was 16 for him, I guess. Allegedly. He was first elected to the Minnesota Senate in 2016. He's also co-authored a bill to classify Trump derangement syndrome as a mental illness. This is, well, is anyone surprised? I'm dead serious. Is anyone surprised? No, I'm not. Not that I knew anything about Eichhorn particularly, but I'm just more talking about Republicans because this is kind of who they are. You know, and I have said something. Well, first of all, let me make sure I point out something that needs to be said. Not a drag queen. Not a transgender individual. And yet here we have once again a guy who's best buddies with 4 other GOP senators in the Minnesota Senate introducing a trolling the libs bill. Oh, yeah, we're trolling the libs. Best buddies with those guys. And the question I have asked the entire time is the same question. Are Republicans so hyper-focused on only finding people abusing children who are drag queens or transgender that they ignore the obvious and clear signals that somebody else in their midst is actually abusing kids? Because that seems to be a kind of the modus operandi here. They are so hyper-focused on, is it a drag queen? Is it transgender people? Meanwhile, the people that they're not paying attention to, well, that's just Jim. He's over picking up some girls over by the playground. He's always a helpful fella, isn't he? There's Bob over there. Just he doesn't have a kid in the school, but he's always there at watching all the kids' sports and everything, and he gets to know those players really well. I mean, nothing to see there. He's just a fan. Yep. Not a drag queen, not a transgender person, a Minnesota State Republican senator. And once again, I want to put forward the brazen nature of jackass MAGA. I want to put forward the brazen nature. Yesterday, they've introduced a bill to go after any person criticizing Trump as having a mental illness, as he's out there allegedly soliciting a 16-year-old for sex in Bloomington. Wow. Now, I'm going to continue with this segment coming up here after the break, because there are some other things that the Republicans in Minnesota have been trying to, I guess, make hay about for the last few weeks. And we need to basically call this out, because at this point, the hypocrisy of these guys ignoring the threat in their midst, I don't know how you describe it. Needless to say, we'll talk more about it when we come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
On the streets of a runaway American dream.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. Over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
Hi, I'm Corey Wisco, president of the Welshire. The Welshire is a community that provides memory care to its residents, and we have a location in Bloomington and also another one that we just opened in Medina, Minnesota. But the big question is that why do people come to Welshire? Many of the people coming to Welshire are coming from other memory care communities where they maybe haven't received bathing, they've had problems taking medication, or inconsistency with staffing. Welshire has never used a temporary staff. We always have our own people, and it's those people that make the difference. We have always felt it's so important to have 24-hour nursing in the building. The other thing is you have to have an amazing activity team. Nobody employs more activity people than Welshire. Our activities begin in the morning, go all the way through the evening, 7 days a week. So if you have a loved one that needs memory care, come visit WellshireMN.com and book a tour today.
Hey, it's Patrick. We're headed into March, which means spring cleaning is almost here. You're about to realize that, and so is just about everybody else, too. That's why you need to beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our friends at Zero Res right now. We just had Zero Res over at our house last week, and they did such a wonderful job. They were on time, professional, and we couldn't be happier with the results. Spring is a time for renewal. Let Zero Res help you refresh your home with clean carpets, fresh floors, and improved air quality. If you missed last month's flash sale, then you're in luck because Zero Res is back right now. 3 rooms starting at $109, but this deal will only last a couple days. That's 3 rooms starting at $109. You need to call 9520-RES or book at ZeroResMinnesota.com right now. Beat the rush. Call now 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. That's Zero Res. Backward or forward spells the same.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Doing a little bit of a local news roundup here in Minneapolis, St. Paul for the folks in Chicago and Seattle who have never heard of Justin Eichhorn, but now you know. Once again, Justin Eichhorn working with his buddies, Eric Lucero, Steve Drazkowski, Nathan ZZ Flop Westenberg, and Glenn the Catcher's Mitt Gruenhagen on a bill to troll the libs. His best buddies there. Apparently, Justin Eichhorn was arrested for trying to solicit a 16-year-old in the city of Bloomington, Minnesota. And once again, is anyone, shocked? Oh, gosh, no. That again? Sort of thing. Now, it should be mentioned, Eichhorn was a guy, he did get a little bit of national traction when he went up on, I think it was on Facebook, and made the argument that homeless people were just campers, that they're just camping, and that he was saying, if you have homeless people, why can't, this is back when there was a government shutdown, why can't you have the campgrounds open? You know, there's homeless people, they're camping, that sort of thing. Yeah. So heartless. And I should mention, I should read this little, this nugget here from one of the stories covering this, because everybody's covering this now. According to the 40-year-old legislator's biography page, Eichhorn is married with 4 kids. Yikes. He lists his occupation as entrepreneur and business manager. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So why is this? Once again, you have a guy who's out there trolling the libs for Trump, gets caught doing this. Once again, you know, the official headline was arrested in Blooming on suspicion of soliciting a minor for sex. You know, the hypocrisy there is pretty palatable, but we should take a moment, if we can, to talk about what the Republicans in the state of Minnesota have been trying to push now for the last 2 months. And that is a transgender athlete ban under the callous argument of dudes shouldn't be able to compete as chicks, sort of thing. They had, was it Riley Gaines was out here doing a rally, and it failed on a procedural note because, as someone pointed out, they couldn't find a K through 12 transgender athlete in the state of Minnesota this ban would even apply to. So this is basically outrage for outrage's sake, trying to create some sort of crisis. And the argument every single Republican made, the argument they made was the same one. We just want to protect the girls. Ha! Please. Please. It erodes your argument greatly that one of the people that was pushing this bill to protect the girls was apparently out trying to solicit one of the girls, allegedly. It is, and by the way, speaking of that, people brought up the point of like, well, how would you even enforce this? And they said, well, you just have to supply the birth certificate at birth, and that will be good enough. And I said, we already know that's a garbage argument, because you're going to take one of these teams and they're going to go out, say, out of the metro area of the Twin Cities and go play a rural Trump red meat area school team and just throttle them. And what's going to happen? The locals are all of a sudden going to be like, I don't care what those birth certificates say. Half that team has to be boys, considering how much they trounced our team. So your team ain't leaving until they've been submitted to an inspection of their genitals. And don't worry, even though we don't have any women here, 3 men are going to go in there and do it so nothing creepy happens. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now we understand. You know where I was going with that. You know where I was going with that. It is sadly predictable. And I seriously want to go back to that point I was making, because it's time and time and time again. It is a high profile right-wing, allegedly a straight white male Christian who is doing these things and gets caught, while the entire focus of the Republican Party is only on transgender people and drag queens. And the question should be asked of all of the Republicans, especially his 4 buddies, Lucero, Drazkowski, ZZ Flop, and Grunhagen, that they should be asked, was there any behavior now in hindsight that you can recall that should have given you a big red flag that, hey, maybe this wasn't legit? Because that is the problem. There are people like this in this world, and they are the ones who are generally screaming the loudest, only pay attention to drag queens, only pay attention to transgender people, pay no attention to what I'm doing. And the Republican Party goes along with that so freaking consistently. Going out there vilifying transgender people. And by the way, can I make one other quick observation about transgender athletes? What are you guys complaining about? So one athlete finished tied for 5th, which means she lost to 4 other athletes and tied a 5th. And this is the best a transgender athlete has done in any given sport. What is your problem anyway? Seriously, it's your arguments are as if every transgender athlete is winning every tournament at every level. That doesn't happen. That's about the best that's happened. And it was a 5th place finish, beaten fairly by 4 other women and tied a 5th. What unfair advantage are you talking about here? Oh, I get it. Your narrative is it's Rodney Dangerfield and Ladybugs. He just puts on a dress and, all of a sudden, I'm a chick now. No, that's not what happens. They go through years of counseling, hormone treatments before any surgeries happen. I mean, it is not something that happens overnight. It is a long process with plenty of counseling. So stop it. Stop it with your bigotry and hate, especially when the only reason you're putting it out there is a red herring to ignore the real threat to our kids going on in front of all of our eyes, apparently. Allegedly. More when we come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
But I might let you try it out the Hennessy. Make 'em sing to this thing like a melody. It's Brad Friedman, your friendly investigative blogger, journalist, and host of the Bradcast on AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Are you experiencing troubles with thinking, comprehending, or speaking, have post-COVID brain fog, ADHD, concussion, tremors from Parkinson's, mental health issues, or simply striving to maximize your brain's potential? At Hypercharge Wellness Centers, we deliver transformative results for the brain. Hypercharge Wellness's brain fitness protocol utilizes cutting-edge modalities, including PEMF, red light therapy beds, and transcranial laser, which all work together to improve focus and cognitive functions. These treatments aim to improve the brain's blood flow and electrical patterns, which reduces anxiety and enhances relaxation, providing a comprehensive approach to brain health optimization. All are invited to experience this life-changing journey towards achieving the pinnacle of cognitive and emotional well-being. Call or go online to schedule your free Hypercharge Wellness introductory session valued at $200 today. This is your opportunity to feel the difference for yourself. No matter where you are in the Twin Cities, there's a convenient location near you. Visit hyperchargeclinic.com now. That's hyperchargeclinic.com. Hypercharge is hope.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950 for Snap Construction again. Does your home feel colder than it should with the furnace constantly running? Or do certain rooms always feel colder than the rest of the house? Those are signs the attic in your home may need an insulation upgrade. Snap Construction can help by providing a free energy audit for your home's insulation. The average cost of getting new insulation can cost much less than a new furnace. Plus, Snap Construction is a BPI certified installer. That means if you use Snap for your next insulation project, you qualify for up to $650 in total rebates from your energy provider. After my free inspection, my insulation upgrade was completed within a few weeks and the rebate check was in the mail. Snap to it and reduce your heating bill this winter with Snap Construction. Call 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP for your free energy audit when you mention AM 950. Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed exterior contractor and insulation company in the metro.
KTNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies today with a high near 51. Tonight, cloudy with a low around 32. And Wednesday, 3 to 6 inches of snow with a high near 38. Craving authentic Szechuan and Mandarin flavors? Visit the Great Wall Restaurant for hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, sesame chicken, and more. Located at 4515 France Avenue South. For takeout, call 952-927-4439 or check out their full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Higher, your love has set me free. Now nothing's out of reach. Higher, higher.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, in the nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM, KKNW. And of course, in Minneapolis, St. Paul, on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, it is the Matt McNeil Show. Good to have you with us today. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So I wanted to actually, if not for the breaking news, I was going to start and actually talk a large portion today about coming back from the South, and namely South Carolina, where last week I spent the week down there visiting my mom. For people that don't know, my mother moved down there with my dad about 10 years ago, maybe a little less than 10 years ago, maybe 8 or 9 years ago. And she's been down there in the Beaufort area, which is just up the coastline from Hilton Head. So it goes Savannah, Georgia, Hilton Head, then Beaufort. It is a lovely area, an absolutely lovely area. It's not a very heavily tourist area because it's not easy to get there from Hilton Head. And so you have to kind of want to go there. And it is spectacular. A very nice place. Going out to the beaches and the food. Oh my gosh, there's a place in a town called Port Royal, which has a barbecue place called the Smokehouse. And they've got that South Carolina barbecue, which is kind of like the vinegar-based sauce of the Carolinas, but it's delicious. Oh, man, I am a large man. I had a good time there. Went around, saw a lot of the sights, saw some of the migrating birds and stuff in some of the estuaries. It was kind of nice. And went out to the beach, went out and saw the ruins of Fort Freeman, which is kind of an interesting Spanish-American War fort. But as well, one of the things we did was we went into Charleston. Now, Charleston is a lovely city. If you've never been, I recommend it. It's got a lot of character and it's a lot of charm. But it's also one of those places where you look around and you see a lot of the pro-slavery South in it. And I talked years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, when my family went down and we visited Charleston, and there was a museum, which is actually a house, which has the 2 houses that are left that slave order, and you can tour them, and they actually have tours to specifically show you what life was like for the slaves compared to what it was like for the slave owners. And it is an insanely eye-opening experience because